What up, Thomas? How's it going, bro?
Good, Richie. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Another episode. How's it going?
It's going well, man. I'm excited to be back here again. It's been like a week and a half, 2 weeks since we did a show.
Nah,
Or
probably. Yeah, maybe, huh?
it's been a little
It's
bit.
been a while.
We missed last week, I know.
Yeah, we missed last week, but yeah. Well, we got a drink here. Let's do a little salute.
Salute.
Cheers. Ah, man, good stuff. Banana liquor. Have you ever had it?
Not the banana one, but I've had like that other kind we were talking about earlier. I had like the root beer, the apple, and like the blackberry.
The 99 proof.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's
It
not
is
bad.
good.
I
It's
don't
like a
mind it.
cheap one. And
Yeah, that's a good mellow one. Like, you don't want to go all out on this.
yeah, drink responsibly, of course. I mean, 99 proof is pretty high. It's like I definitely feel it after one or two. So
Yeah.
you don't need to do too much, which I like. I like it better than drinking beer.
Oh,
So
really? Oh,
I'm not a beer drinker. You
yeah.
Definitely.
I love IPAs. Yeah, you know that. I don't have to explain.
like the dark beer?
Yeah, dark beer
Yeah.
is really good.
Mm.
I like Guinness too. Guinness is one of
Yeah.
my favorites with an Irish car bomb. Have you ever had an Irish car bomb?
Uh,
Kahlua and what do they put in it? Yeah, it's just Kahlua and Jameson, and then just dump it in there in the beer in a
Huh.
shot. So
so it's a whiskey and like a mix, like a drink mix.
yeah, well, kind of like a mix, but not really.
Oh,
It's I don't know where it came from. Someone just decided to put a shot in a beer and they just drank
you
it.
said the shots of Jameson whiskey.
Jameson is Jameson, which is Irish whiskey, and Kahlua.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they put it like
What do they call it again?
Irish car bomb.
Irish car bomb. Okay.
Yeah, my record is. Yeah, I'd rather not say.
Yeah, I'll leave that out.
Yeah, we'll leave that one out for sure. But hey, we got some interesting topic. Huh?
yeah. I was just listening to some content about it yesterday, and I was taking some notes. And it's again another something I hadn't really heard about. But I'm not Catholic, and I haven't done a lot of research in that realm. But it's a huge thing for Catholics, from what I
I
understand.
feel like it's a huge thing in anything because this is.
I never heard of it. So
Yeah.
I'll let you kind of start
Well,
it off. So.
Since I remember my mom, we had like a cartoon VHS tape of it.
Uh-huh.
So what? For the folks that don't know, we're going to talk about the Dancing Sun, which is the appearance of the Lady of Fatima, which happened in
okay.
Portugal in 1917, and it's about
Yeah.
3 kids, and they claim that they saw the Virgin Mary, and she had 3 secrets for them.
And wasn't it just one of the kids really was like the main converser?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lucia. Her name was Lucia.
Like they all saw her, but she was the one that really like
Yeah.
communicated.
She was like the leader of both of
Yeah.
the two. And what's crazy is the other 2 died in less than 24 months.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, and
Less than 24 months of the
Of the
first
appear-
of
of
the
the
first
appearance.
vision.
yeah, the
Oh.
appearance, and they knew about it. That's the crazy part. That's why, like, you know me, I don't want to say I'm like religious and not religious, but like I believe in God. But you know how I feel about religion and how it doesn't.
Mm.
It's more, to me, more business ethic. You know.
You look way more into like when there's been corruption and how there has been corruption in the past, and it kind of
Yeah, it man, it stains their image. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, it does. It's just, and I feel like you have to kind of take that as it is with mankind being not perfect,
Right.
and I think there's always going to be some corruption in there, but
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes it like when people, for instance, like let's say like the Vatican, you hear a
Mhm.
scandal of Vatican, you hear
yeah,
everyone seems to look at every pope, every bishop, every like bad now. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
It kind of ruins their rep because they're representing the
Mhm.
Vatican. And you know, there's a lot of good churches, and there's
Yeah.
some that are not good.
Well,
That's how
I think
believe.
that they're all good in a lot of ways, but I do think that there are bad apples in all of them as well. So you can't. I don't think you can judge a whole book by its cover,
Right.
or you can't judge one and put that across all of them. You
Right.
know, so
Yeah.
if there's somebody that does something bad in the Vatican, are we going to judge all Catholics as being bad? Of course not.
Right.
So
With any religion,
with
I
any
believe.
religion, exactly. So I know being Mormon, LDS, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints, that there have been plenty of things that have happened in the history of this church or that church that you know people will point at that and be like, oh, you see, they're not a good, these people
Organization.
aren't good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's in every church though.
Yeah.
So where do you want to draw the line?
I'm pretty skeptic when anything like this happens. A couple of years ago, I saw this thing that there was uh, uh, Jesus on a cross, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in India, there was water falling from its feet, and
Oh.
thousands of people went and they would start drinking the water because they would say it was holy water because there was it was a like a statue,
Yeah.
right, of him hanging on the cross, and people would just drink the water, and and it turned out there was a plumbing issue. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, a
I
plumbing
was
issue
thinking
in the
that too.
building.
And it
And,
was
and,
like, oh no.
and that's why I look at things like
Yeah.
that and I said, there's always got to be an explanation.
Yeah.
Always. There's got,
Yeah.
oh, this miracle happened. Okay. What's the explanation? What's the scientific explanation? I know the religious explanation. I don't know the scientific
Yeah.
explanation. But with this, with the dancing sun and the Lady of Fatima, this is something that I feel is different. This is different.
It's different,
It's very different. You have thousands of people saying they saw this. You have, and for Lucia, who ended up converting into a nun, she gave her pretty much her life to this. And for a child to do something like that, you can't just make it up. So there is a lot of facts. We're gonna go with little fictions too, and we'll see where we go with this.
How old was
They were about from 9 to 11 years old.
Yeah.
9, 12.
Was Lucin? Was it
Lucia?
Lucia.
Mhm.
Was she the oldest?
Yeah, she was the oldest, and then the other two were her cousins. So it was Lucia dos Santos, and then the other
Francisco
two, Francisco
and
Marto
Jacinta,
and
right?
Jacinta. Correct, yeah. And Francisco and Jacinta, they died of influenza less than 24 months, but they knew they were gonna die. That's the crazy part.
Oh, man,
So
that's
because
crazy.
in the conversation that she had with
Unless
Lady Fatima,
Lucia killed them.
I
Just
don't know about
they
that.
were gonna say something they should. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
Yeah.
they were tortured by the church. They took
To like
prison.
try to make them say that it was a lie or something.
Yeah.
That they didn't really see anything or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
they were.
yeah.
They
And
were
they
tortured,
wouldn't-
and
they
they
wouldn't
were.
say.
They wouldn't
Yeah.
say. That's
Yeah.
that's what gets me.
Right.
Because what a little kid, 9, 10 years old, you say, "Hey, tell me the truth, or we're going to torture you or your family, or whatever the case may be," and you say, "Well, no."
And I would say not even just a little kid, things like that, and like why throw your entire life away and your reputation, if you're a little kid or if you're an adult even, you have no gain by doing this. There's like, it's one of those things where I think they could have lived perfectly happy lives without having brought any of this up or not lying about it if they were
Right.
going to lie. But the fact to say that it was true, though, if we're gonna believe that it's true, how can you not, just profess no matter what that it is true, no matter what type of torture you're subjected
Yeah.
to,
Well-
So if God came to you, Mother Mary, she's not God, obviously, but if a spirit or like an apparition or an angel comes to you, or God comes to you, how can you deny that, to anybody? I would be more scared of God to deny having seen him.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is also that gets me is that there was a photograph, and I posted it on the Facebook. I don't know if you saw it or not.
You
the-
sent it to
yeah.
me, I think, and showed
it's black and white.
It's like it's
Yeah.
not very. It's like there's
It
like a
kind of
little
looks like
dot.
it kind of looks like a solar eclipse just happened. To be honest with you.
Yeah, isn't it very low to the ground, kind of looking?
Yeah. Supposedly it goes all the way down to the ground.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
what comes up and then moves again.
It moves to side,
yeah.
and it takes angles and stuff. And
Yeah,
but like I said, it's not just these kids that are saying this. It's thousands of people in Fatima,
there
Portugal.
was what I read was there
claiming-
was between 70 and 100,000 people
Yeah,
that showed up to this, and all witnessed something crazy, and even to the point where Catholic Church did a major investigation where they concluded that something definitely happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And the three secrets of Fatima, I mean, that's the thing that gets me all skeptic because the first one, were you aware of the three rules? I mean, the
The
three.
first one was that a vision of hell.
Yes.
Yeah. And the second one was something to do with the war
Yeah.
ending
World War
and
II.
yeah, the war. Like I thought it was something to do with World War One, and then the prophecy
Well,
that World War Two was going to begin.
well, this was happening during World War One. This was
Oh, okay.
happening, but
Right. Yeah.
but they didn't.
But the secret was supposed to be that if they paid penance or something like that,
The first one.
that the World War One would end.
Yeah, see, and that don't make a lot of sense to me. Just for the mere fact, supposedly they're dying. The people that die in the wars are dying for the sinners, suffering of the sinners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying if you pray, this is what I got out of it. If you pray enough and repents, then you won't die. And
Yeah.
there's a crazy ass theory that I got into that people are saying that's why the Jewish people got on the Holocaust
Oh.
was because they didn't believe in God.
Oh.
Well, they believe in God. They just didn't believe.
That Jesus Christ was like the
Yeah. I'm
savior.
like, that's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's one of those things. That's to me that doesn't make sense to me
It doesn't make sense.
to punish all these people, for something like that. And I think that you have to look at mankind as the bringer of suffering instead of God bringing the suffering. Because who was the Holocaust for? It was Hitler.
Right.
What kind of began that, right? So, I mean, that's a man. You don't want to put God as the cause when somebody made a choice to
Right.
kill all these people.
Yeah, and what's interesting also that when they talk about World War II, they didn't actually announce it till like 1939, which was kind of already predictable because Germany invaded Poland in 1939.
Yeah, why did they wait so long?
Yeah, that's a mystery that nobody knows why they made Lucia, because she was the only one that knew at the time.
Was she still alive?
Yeah, she was alive.
Oh,
Yeah, she was still alive.
did she reveal it, or somebody, or she had like given that?
She
to
revealed
the
it to the
Catholic
Pope.
Church? Oh, she
Yeah.
revealed it to the Pope.
She revealed it to the Pope. But that's what I'm saying. Like, how can you say, well, yeah, in 1939, we're going to have World War II. And then on top of that, they're talking about Russian communists, which in World War II is actually German. Even though there was communists in Russia with Joseph
That's
Stalin.
a really good point because I think that also falls in. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I think it's a really good point to bring up that these secrets are revealed like at those times when it almost like doesn't matter just because these events already transpired. Mm-hmm. So we're going to say that this prophesied this event that's already happened. That doesn't make a lot of sense to believe in that type of prophecy, even though, right. There's a lot of stuff that I would be a hypocrite saying that I don't believe in some of those things too, just because I also in my own church have those things also exist. Yeah. Types of things like that, do exist in my church as well. So it's something that I would have to say, take with a grain of salt as well, but also be open-minded to, because I'm open-minded in my church about it. I would have to be open-minded for this as well, because, but I was going to say the third secret of Fatima the third secret of the, what do we call it?
The secret of Fatima.
Mm-hmm. So the third secret is something to do with, is it again something with penance, or is it something to do with
the assassination
of a pope? So that happened on the 64th anniversary.
John Paul II.
Was it John Paul II?
Yeah.
That happened to?
Yeah.
Not his assassination, though, was it?
Well, he got shot, and
because he survived.
Yeah.
He survived.
Was
he pope at that? Not the
He
same.
was pope.
What?
Yeah. It was in 1979.
This is the same pope that only served for 32
days. Oh, no, that was John Paul I.
John Paul I. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the second.
So John Paul II survived this assassination attempt, and then decides, okay, because this assassination attempt happened on the 64th anniversary of the first vision of Fatima. Mm-hmm. This was on May 13th, which was May 13th, 1917 was the first vision of Fatima.
Right.
So this is the 64th anniversary. An assassination attempt happens, which is kind of interesting in itself that an assassination attempt happened on the 64th anniversary. He survived this assassination attempt, and also the revelation of the third secret is that it has to do with a man who is in white walking the city,
Right.
comes to a cross and is riddled with bullets and arrows or something like
Yeah.
that. So
That's another thing. It said it was going to get ridiculed with bullets and arrows. Well, we don't use arrows anymore.
yeah, so
That's a different
that's the
story.
only. I mean, to say that that's the only discrepancy is still pretty amazing. If that letter did read that the entire time up until then. But that's again the interesting thing is that we didn't get this revelation until after the event happened.
Correct.
So, can we say for sure that that is what the letter said? This whole from 1917 to now.
Right. And that's another thing. A lot of it's not uncommon that popes try to get assassinated by other radical religions. Like extremists.
Extremists, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's not.
It's not the first time.
It's not the first time.
Yeah.
So there really was an assassination from 1917 till 1979 till that day.
There was not.
No.
That was the first.
Yeah. Well, if you consider Pope Paul the First.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which I was listening to more of that a little bit.
But that was more of. I don't know if that was.
I think that was just like I think he died. This is my personal opinion because I think that it makes sense that he died in a weird way, and they didn't want him to see. They didn't want it to seem like weird.
Yeah.
So they made it look like he died in like a holy way, kind of where he was reading. He had religious things at his side when he died. He had but I think he died in like a kind of like just a random heart attack way.
But why would he say, "May God forgive you for what you have done" when he accepted the Pope? So that's the things. Know. Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah.
Every time I have faith in something and I say, "Okay, this actually happened," then I get a curveball like that. Same with the Fatima issue that we're discussing is that this probably to me out of all religion, miracles, spectacle or whatever you want to call it. This is the most interesting one because it didn't just happen, and there's other countries that this happened to, and this is another thing that bugs me. Now it happened in Poland, then it happened in Mexico, then it happened, in all these Catholic-based countries.
Yeah.
You don't hear about this. Oh, this happened in Lebanon or this happened in China. You know what I mean? And that's where it gets me because I'm like, well, Catholic people are gonna want to persuade other people to be Catholic. What better way to do it than say I saw the Virgin Mary, and then they build a big old statue. They do celebrations. They bring thousands of people. But if you want to say that, thousands of people saw it. Thousands of people, as documented in history, that thousands of people saw the sun dancing up and down. And then you have other proof that the kids predicted. I mean, they've already had the note, right? Prior in 1917, they predicted World War II. Okay. I don't know if they could have changed it. I don't think so. That make no sense why they would. But regardless when they did it in 1939 or in 1917, it was written down already.
Yeah.
The only thing they got wrong was it wasn't really Russia. Well, I shouldn't say that they got it wrong. Russia was a communist country and maybe still is, but it was actually Germany who did all the killing and decided. So that was wrong.
Yeah. So is prophecy subject to maybe even like it could have been right at the time, but due to, how mankind chooses to use free agency, it could change prophecy to be something different. People have used a example like, God will say, this is going to happen. Like I'm going to maybe wipe out this city. And this has happened. I just can't remember which one I'm trying to quote, but there was a city he was going to wipe out, but then didn't. It was a prophesied that the city would be wiped out in some years. The majority of the city repents, and the city doesn't get wiped out when God said it would. Yeah. So is there a potential that if prophecy, is made, that it could change. I think that that's a possibility.
Yeah, it's a possibility, I believe. But you also got to think it wasn't actually recognized in the Catholic Church until 1930. Till the Catholic Church says, "Yep, this actually happened."
Mhm. But
So
that's still before World War II, right? Then
yeah, that
that
was
would,
before World
yeah,
War II. But why wait that long? Because they did have private investigators. They did have
yeah,
priests were involved, bishops were involved, everything was involved in this. But yeah, why would you make that up? That's a big thing. That's another
yeah,
thing.
yeah. I don't know.
But the thing that gets me the most from the first secret is like to repent our sins, right?
Well, was
Like,
the first secret was a vision of hell, right?
yeah, the vision of hell. Why would you show kids vision of hell? Why, what was
I don't know.
what's the psychology behind that?
Maybe that's looking at it from a more like like mortal perspective, and how we look at, oh, we can't subject children to these types of things.
Right.
Maybe, from an angelic perspective or godly perspective, or from a different, you know, totally different dimension altogether that's not subject to, the rules that we've set as humans.
Right.
Maybe it's different. Maybe they don't look at it. Maybe, a spirit wouldn't look at it like, oh, I'm showing kids these horrible things.
What's your take? Like, what's your opinion on it? Like, I know you did some research on it. You were talking about other
On just the
things
whole thing, or
on the
just,
whole thing, or what do you think it could have been instead of?
I
What's the
get,
possibilities that you think
yeah,
that
I
might
want to
be?
be skeptical. I think, I think I'm more leaning towards skeptical until I hit the miracle of the sun thing,
Hmm.
where 70,000 to 100,000 people saw it. And
And there's a
it
picture,
seems to be a very common, yeah, there's a picture. The picture's a little, I don't know what the picture, it just looked kind of like bright
right?
and
The
dusty
pixels weren't
looking.
at the best.
Yeah, so I can't really draw a conclusion from the picture, but again, I wasn't there. I don't know how the sun looked or and whatnot. If it was because the way that they talk about it, it was like moving erratically,
Right.
like up and down and over and out and side to side, and
And for a hundred thousand people to be there, already knowing that was going to happen.
yeah,
Well, they didn't know; they just knew a miracle was going to happen. And to see that, I mean, I was thinking, well, maybe a solar eclipse, but you can't predict back then the solar eclipse. You didn't have the
yeah,
technology for that.
yeah, and they made it sound like an erratic movement. Like the
Yeah,
movements weren't like a slow, eclipse type
yeah,
of event.
something on
And I
supernatural.
think eclipses were pretty well documented
Yeah,
at that time. It wasn't like any,
yeah. I mean, you had a
they knew eclipses happened,
right.
I would think,
Oh,
at that
since like the
time.
1600s,
Yeah,
they would know
so
when.
I don't think that there was like we don't know that that's we can tell what an eclipse is from not an eclipse, or there would be somebody who was there. If no, to have 70,000 to 100,000 people, no matter how religious and how many zealots there are, that there would have to be somebody there that would be like, well, really, that wasn't what happened, and this is what really happened, type thing. There's a perfectly reasonable explanation, type thing. Out of 70,000 to 100,000 people, I haven't heard of like a testimony of somebody being like, you know, being skeptical about
Right.
that this
Yeah,
would
they're
happen.
really
What?
sure of themselves that
Yeah,
that's what they saw.
yeah.
But also, what do you think about like the other countries that are pretty much copycat? Like Poland said that they had the Virgin Mary appear. Mexico had the Virgin Mary appear. There's other countries that say the
Hmm.
Virgin Mary appear. Like, do you think they just said, "Well, look, all the attention Portugal's getting from this.
They could
Uh,
be.
let's do that as well."
I would lean towards that they're just trying to get attention.
Yeah. See, and that's what I feel, and this is my honest opinion. There's something that happened in Portugal in 1917, and these other countries were like, "Oh, this seems interesting. Let's do this."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But why do you think that doesn't happen nowadays?
I don't know. I would say maybe we're at a point now, I think that's why I say too, like maybe this was like a UFO event,
Mm,
because we have a lot of UFO events nowadays, and we look at it in a way different light than maybe they would in 1917, where they
right.
might still look at it as like a religious event or something. But again, 70,000 people saw this, and I think they would be able to tell the difference. Well, the sun's over here, this thing moving around is over here.
Right.
If it was a UFO, I think they would be like, well, that's not the sun that's moving. There's something else over here moving.
Yeah. So what
They
I
say the sun itself was moving.
see, that's what gets me. The sun, the facts. So I try to put with the facts and the fiction. The the fiction to me was okay. The three secrets weren't total accurate. Okay,
Hmm.
that could have been also just interrupted by man. They could have said, "Look, we're gonna write this. We're gonna do this." We don't know. That's something nobody's ever gonna know.
Yeah.
But to deny the fact that 100,000 people showed up and they claim that they saw the sun, the fact that they claim that the two kids were gonna die and they end up dying in less than 24 months. They did predict the World War II was gonna happen, but okay, that's
Yeah,
another thing.
they didn't predict the correct, I think, and because I think that war is always going to happen. I don't think that's like a really like
Yeah,
thing that's like we can say it's like, oh, there's going to be another big war.
right.
You know, I could say right now, yes, Richie, there is going to be World War III.
Yeah,
Am I a prophet for saying that?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You can anyone can probably say that now these days. But yeah, so what's your opinion? You think it actually happened or no?
I think something was going on. I can't deny 70,000 to 100,000 people. You know, were not like totally convinced something was happening. The Vatican did an investigation, and they're convinced that something happened. Not that I trust the Vatican entirely, but or trust anybody entirely. But when you have that large of group of people saying, "Hey, this happened," I think it's hard not to say something was going on. I just don't know what.
What about the
You know,
assassination of the Pope? Like that's the third
mm,
the third secret. You think that was more common
mm,
or coincidence, or it actually was
yeah.
part of the prophet?
Well, what I want to say, because I'm just making this thought right now, that the Vatican has they're kind of their own country, right?
Right.
They have their own police, they have their own investigation, and it makes any kind of news that comes out of the Vatican kind of that you have to like look at it from some objective view, just
Right. All the
because,
corruption back in the day.
yeah, I mean, who's to say that that's not a big story to say to like make a good, make it look like this happened because the to say that this prophecy said that the pope was going to get assassinated and we created this whole event to make the prophecy look completely true, so we faked a pope assassination just to make the prophecy look like it came to pass.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But also like the first secret, like the pain and suffering and the pendant, you have to repent and that like I said, I believe in God. I just don't believe in religion. And that to me is like why is there so much suffering? Why so much pain? Why do people have to suffer?
uh
That's the thing.
I
To get
mean,
to heaven, to get to God, why is so much suffering? You can say, well, no, life don't have to be easy because you have to do the right thing. Okay, I get that. But to like burn in hell for eternity if you don't
yeah,
repent
I don't
and to
believe that.
that to me is that's insane.
Yeah, I don't believe in like a conventional hell. I think is like Christianity and Catholicism, where like you're burning for eternity type
Right.
thing. If you're gonna go to hell, I feel like that's a very specific place for very specific people who uh, learned of a truth and denied a truth,
Hmm.
and even though they know it to be true, but decided no, I don't want that,
Right.
and and are totally like cut off from God. Now is that Now, whatever that might feel like, maybe it feels like burning and suffering. I don't know, dude. It's like
I
it's really
I
weird. I don't think that God would like totally like, if you're gonna go to hell or some place of suffering like that, He's not gonna send you there. He's gonna like let you have a choice.
I just did a report on the Holocaust, and
Yeah,
they had children murdered in front of their parents. Right? They would
yeah.
actually, what the German Nazis would do, they would murder the children in front of the parents, so the parents would suffer, and then on top of that, then they would kill the
Then
parents.
they
So
kill
they would.
them. So,
So what I was thinking is, if that happened to anybody, especially me or anything like that, um, that I can't imagine hell being any worse than that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I know of burning in eternity, and that sounds horrible. But as a father, as a brother, as a son, I feel like there'd be other ways that hell would be worse than that.
maybe. I feel like Two, I mean, I'm not saying that it's better to just die instantly, but maybe it's better to die instantly than eternal suffering. But,
Yeah,
but I,
that's the big question is, did this happen? Did this not happen? In my opinion, after doing all the research, some of the facts may not have been all there, but I do believe this happened. And if this did happen, then you have to question. A lot of people say, "Well, what's going to happen in the afterlife?" Well, that's kind of an answer right there. If something like this happened and people saw it,
yeah,
so the afterlife question is there an afterlife? Well, yeah, then there must be an afterlife.
I think there's an afterlife. I just don't think we know exactly how the afterlife is going to go,
Yeah.
and what's
Why did you think it would be like a UFO kind of?
just because the way that they said that the object was moving, the sun was moving around, and
Hmm.
because the descriptions of UFOs are the UFOs when they are described or when they're caught on video, the ones that they say are authentic, uh, the UFOs kind of are very bright
Hmm.
and they move in erratic ways. So
Yeah.
they move like all over the place, like
Yeah.
really crazy
Diagonally up,
maneuvers. Yeah,
down.
so that's why I was thinking that maybe they were seeing like
Do
some type
you,
of ET
out
craft
of
or radio.
100%, what percentage do you think that might be a UFO?
Hmm. I'm gonna say 80%.
Wow, 80.
Yeah,
That's high.
because I feel like something like that, the sun was moving, in that type of way. I feel like that would create kind of some type of chaos in our solar system,
Hmm.
But again, they're going to be like, they would just explain that away, of course. Well, God didn't allow for the solar system to go into chaos. He just allowed the sun to move,
Yeah.
So to me, I don't know. I don't know. Again, like you say, why doesn't things like that happen, right now?
Nowadays.
It's a good question.
Yeah. Well, now that technology is so high, I mean, it'd be
Do
it'd
you think
be
God?
impossible
Yeah. Do you
to.
think God would just doesn't do it because technology is at a crazy level to where we can't draw a conclusion, and maybe God does miracles when you can't draw a conclusion because that's important for a faith basis type
Yeah,
of
that makes
thing. So
sense.
you wouldn't be able to have nearly as much faith if you were witness to something undeniable.
Yeah, and I think a lot to do with it, not just technology itself, but a lot of people weren't as educated as they are now. If I
Hmm.
saw the sun, overlap with the moon, I know that's an eclipse. Maybe back then they didn't know what an eclipse was. If I see like a aerial phenomenon that they call it now, and I can see it with my eyes, I know that's aerial phenomenon. I'm not gonna say, oh man, that's Zeus or God or whatever. We're more
Yeah.
educated as a society now.
Right. If we saw something in the sky that was bright moving around in some crazy way, we're not going to say the sun is doing those things and
Yeah,
stuff. We're probably going to try to rationalize it in some other way.
and
Maybe
yeah,
that's why I think maybe this was just a bright object and not the sun itself. But
yeah, that's
I do think that there was something. 70,000 to 100,000 people.
yeah. You can't deny that. You
Yeah.
can't deny that. You can't deny the fact that Lucia gave her life to the church at such a young age. She saw
Mm-hmm.
something and she
Mm-hmm.
strongly believed in it.
Right.
You
And
know,
I give a lot of, credence to people like that who die for something that they
yeah.
believe
And
in
this
in that
was
way.
this was a
So,
period from October 13 till March 14. That was it. March, yeah, March 14th, I believe.
well, but what I read was this was happening like every 13th of the month, something they were
Oh,
seeing this
okay.
vision or seeing a vision of
So
the,
this is a long
yeah,
period of
this
time.
happened for a while.
Yeah, this
Yeah. And
this
I think
wasn't
it
just
was
one.
like, I think it culminated in October because it was like from May to October of 1917. And then in October, the miracle of the sun happened.
Right.
But I
So,
don't know if they continued to see after that.
mhm.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, that was this is an interesting topic,
Yeah.
and it's kind of hard to talk about all this stuff because a lot of the stuff it's either you believe it or you don't. It's proven or it's
Right.
not
Right.
proven.
Because I
Uh,
listen to a lot of people talk about it. If you're Catholic, I think it's something it's held very deeply in the heart of a lot of
yeah,
Catholics.
because
As
it
this is
represents you.
yeah, yeah. And so it makes sense. I totally understand, somebody believing something like this with 100% faith. because there's similar things in my own religion, in my own beliefs. There's things that I just take, on faith that these things did occur. So I totally get it. I totally understand, that like we take things on faith a lot,
Right.
as humans, which I think it is important, in a religious aspect. Faith is important. So
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Where's the lines between faith and reality? Um, that's something
yeah,
that we cannot explain pretty much.
yeah,
And this we usually have a good sense of what topics we talk about and like the conclusions we come up with. Like, no, this happened. We think that, but
mm-hmm.
I feel like this topic itself is it's pretty torn. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I want to say. So this is what I'm doing. I look at all the facts of what not to. I don't want to believe this happened. I don't want to do. I don't want to believe that this occurred. Right. I look at it at that way.
Yeah,
But then when I say, yeah, this never happened, deep down inside of me, I'm like, no, that makes no sense.
something happened.
Something
Yeah,
happened that we can't explain. We might not be knowledgeable enough to explain it.
right, right.
But for, like I said, the facts earlier, for all those people to be there, for Lucia to give up her life, not give up her life, but give her life to the Catholic Church, for the prediction of the
Yeah,
two children dying. Um, and then on top of that, like we said earlier, they tortured the children. They said, "Well, tell us the truth," and they're like, "No,
yeah.
we
They
saw
wouldn't
that."
deny that
They
they
wouldn't
saw it.
deny it.
Yeah,
And as a 9-year-old, you're a kid. You're going to be scared to death that
yeah,
the government's
yeah.
coming
You
after
think that
you.
they
And
would say anything just to get the
yeah,
torture to
well,
stop? Too.
they threatened them with boiling them alive,
Mm.
in oil.
Oh wow.
And for a 9-year-old, I believe 9, 10, around that age, 9, 10 years old. I don't think they're older than 11, but um, for them to be like, okay, boil me, but this actually happened. Yeah, I gotta say it's true.
Yeah,
I got him.
yeah. No, I understand. I know, and I would say as well, that they definitely saw something they can't deny, something they won't
Hmm.
deny. So, you take something like that and you are willing to die for it, you have to
Yeah,
look at it as like I believe something absolutely, there's some truth
and they
to
were
what they
good
say.
kids. They were shepherd kids. You didn't.
Yeah.
It's not like kids these days. They just make up a lot of shit. They do. They go online and just like I feel like your smart kids with smartphones just damage their brain and their illusion. They make shit up. They're kind of psychologically brain dead because of being just online.
Yeah.
But these kids, they weren't like that. They had their
Mhm.
full sense. That's pretty much what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, sorry, but I
Mhm.
was just gonna say. Also, I looked in the family background. There was no sexual abuse, no physical abuse. No, these kids they came up in a good family.
Yeah.
So for someone to say, well, we're gonna boil you alive and we're gonna kill your family as well, because they did get threatened with their family to see if they would talk.
Mhm.
For them to be like, no, I did see what I saw and I'm sticking to it. That's yeah, that makes me a believer.
Yeah, I can totally see, that side of it. I totally agree that there's something to it, something that they saw that they believe wholeheartedly. I have to say that I have to believe that they saw something.
Hmm.
I don't know what that is, but I do believe that they saw something and that they feel very strongly about it. Obviously, enough to give their lives for it. So,
Right. And they did. Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing.
All right. Well, anything else you want to say about the topic, Thomas?
No, I think that does it for
I
me.
mean,
I think we looked at it, as good as we could.
it's
I
like I
give
said,
it.
we don't know it all. We're not here to
No,
educate or
I
anything.
know.
This is just stuff that we like to talk about. And
Yeah,
it was pretty difficult to actually find research on this kind of topic, because not only was it so long ago, but it's either that you had the scientific way or you had the religious way. Like there was no in between.
yeah,
So there's scientists, don't believe it, but you have the religious people that do believe it.
yeah.
So this is just going to be a 50-50 for me.
No, I enjoyed talking about it. It was definitely interesting.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Awesome. Well, all right. Well, thanks everybody. Have a good one.
See ya.